Hey, what's up? This is your girl Diamond. I am the executive director of Black Trans Women's Inc. and the host of Marsha's Plate podcast. Wait, why is it so named over there? Okay. I go live every Friday at 7 o'clock and we talk about whatever's going on in the world that's relevant to our community. Hey, Gigi. Okay, I am doing wonderful. Hey, CL. We're going to give some folks some time to come up in. So, we got a lot to talk about. I just feel I'm kind of frustrated with the community. So I want to talk about some things that I've been seeing. Hey, Brandon, that I've been seeing, and be the judgmental auntie. Uh, so hmm, I went back blonde. LA was wonderful. I loved it. I had my red curly wig on for a long time, honey. She was getting her life since December. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Is it Ryan? Ryan? Ryan's perspective. Hey, Ryan. Ryan. Ryan's perspective. Hello. Take my fiber peels just in case I gotta get plunged. Make sure your regular is coming all out clean, ready for the plunging. And then you take your omega 3s for your brain health. I just ate. I like to take my vitamins with my food. Keeps you ready, baby. Gotta keep that colon cleaned out. Now this is my Wellbutrin to help with my ADD. And this, y'all girls know what this is. So I have shots, but shots make me gain too much weight, child, and I'm already thick, honey. Shots just make me feel like I'm blowing up. So the pills do a little bit less because they got to go through your liver. A pill's going through your, honey, your going straight into your bloodstream. With the shot, baby. She gets me together too much. She pickle you, baby. And I thank you. And then I have a headache, so we're gonna do a little Tylenol. Damn shots kill my libido. What you need a libido for, child? You don't even be having sex like that. Oh, you got your pussy now, so you probably sitting it out, sitting it wide. That's what I was always worried about getting a sex change for. I feel like when you gender reassignment surgery, um, I always felt like, once I get it, I don't want to give it to nobody because I'm not horny. Just sitting on it like Ruth Brown. If I can't sell it, I'm gonna sit on it. Yes, but she's limited with the size of penis. You wasn't into big penises anyway. You like little penises. That was your tea, so this should be right up your alley, girl. That's right up your alley, honey. You like little cat meats. You weren't never no size queen, honey, based on your conversation. Mm. Baby, this Snapple, this black cherry lemonade Snapple, where you out? How is everybody doing? Where is everybody from? I don't know where everybody is from. Like I recognize names, of course, but I don't know where in the country y'all are. Hey, Miss Amy, Bougie, Barbie, what's your tea? So Parker is in Denver. Come on, Atlanta, city of the bottoms. City of the queens. It be trans girls moving to Atlanta, and I'd be like, why are y'all moving here, child? This is for the witch queens, honey. This city is for the witch queens. I know there's some trade in well, I don't want to call them trade. I know it's men that like the girls in Atlanta too, but honey, they've been so ran through. Do you really want them? Ah, Jersey, come on, Jersey, Austin, Miss Missy. I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana. It's some men in Shreveport. Don't sleep on Shreveport. I every time I go to Shreveport, especially that casino in Shreveport, I find the men's baby there. The men's is in Shreveport. That whole little strip on I-20, like Minden, Vicksburg, Mississippi, all the way Jackson, that whole line of that top of Louisiana on I-20, whatever city you stop in, it's the men, baby. It is some country boys up there that will give you the business in a good way. Come on, Mississippi. What part of Mississippi? Jacksonville. I've lived in Jackson, Mississippi. I've lived in Walnut Grove, Mississippi. I've lived in Carthage, Mississippi. I've lived in um, Pascagoula, Mississippi. Ocean Springs, Mississippi. Picayune, Mississippi. Come on, Tupelo, Mississippi. I've been there. My brother got married in Tupelo, Mississippi. Y'all have a Toyota plant there. The president of the Toyota plant is my brother's father-in-law. So they lived there, and we had a good little spot, good little time. Okay, where everybody else at? I'm in Alabama right now, but in Texas usually. Come on, Alabama. Let's see what part of Alabama that I have been to. I have been to Mobile, of course. I've been to Birmingham. I used to mess with a piece of trade in Birmingham named Demetrius Day. He used to be fine, but now he done got his dad bod and it don't look as good on him. Even though I like dad bods, I like thick. It don't look good as on him. Demetrius Day. Um, what else? Oklahoma. I've only been to Tulsa, Oklahoma, just driving through. I never been there to party or chill or anything like that. I've been there driving through, going somewhere else. Um, where else? Let me see. Who else? Oklahoma. I'm reading from, is it reading today? I read today that Minnesota is trying to become a trans refuge state. Oh, cute. They do have some good, I don't know. It might be for white people because, Minnesota isn't really great for black people. Minnesota isn't really great for black people when it comes to economically. There is a big, wide wage gap between white and black Americans in Minnesota. Um, Tupelo, Mississippi, Ocean Springs, Mississippi. I had a good time in Ocean Springs, child. They country as hell, but I had a good time. I don't mind country. You still in Houston? I am in Houston. I'm gonna be in Houston for the rest of my life if I can help it. I love Houston. Only way I would move to another. First of all, I would not move to a smaller city. I wouldn't move. So I'm either moving to Chicago, New York, or LA. I'm not, because we're number four. I'm not moving to a smaller city. But only way I would move to one of those bigger cities if I got a job that was like, oh my God, so much money. Do I miss Indiana? Do I miss Indiana? No, I do not. But I do miss some food sometimes. There's certain places that you can only eat there that I really would love to eat sometimes. Anytime I go back to Indiana, I am excited for like a day or two. And then once I get to that third day, I'm ready to go home. It's depressing. There's a couple of things that's depressing. It's depressing because um it's a couple of things like it doesn't the vibe isn't the same now that I'm older. Um the memories, the negative ones and the positive ones, um being gone from the city, when you come back, you don't really know anybody. You don't like you know people and people know you, but you don't really. Like it's a whole slew of new young people, new queer people that you don't really know that don't know you or your impact on the city. They don't really, you know, they don't really know you. And so you come back and you're like, oh, it's almost like you a person, just a person visiting. And I've been gone for so long since '05. So it's kind of like, ooh. Um, Also, it's a lot of gentrification happening. So hoods that I used to be that I used to like hoods that I grew up in, some of them places ain't even hood no more. They like gentrified, white people running around with their dogs and jogging. And it's like, oh, this ain't even it used to be like epicenters of black people where you can come and be. And now it's like gentrified and whack. So yeah, I don't like coming back. The slow pace of smaller hometowns can be draining a little bit. Hey, Miss Diamond, what you think of the trans girl clip being passable video on the blog? I am going to talk about that today. That is what sparked this, not sparked the live. I do the lives, but that is one of the subjects that I'm going to talk about. And I'm not going to talk about anybody in general on that. Um, on that video, I'm going to talk about the concepts and what that brings up because I don't want people to think I'm being shady because I'm not trying to be shady to the girls. But I want to talk about the things that problematic things in the video and problematic comments within the video comment section, the themes. So I'll be talking about it. I used to be good friends with Starbella from around the way before she passed. I went to college at Ohio and would frequent Indianapolis back in the day. I'm old now though. How old are you? I used to be really good friends with Bella too. Then we became enemies. Then we fought. Well, we didn't really. Oh yeah, we did fight. Um, uh, if you want to call it a fight, I beat her up. It really wasn't a fight. um, but Bella always has a place in my heart. There's always a love place in my heart for Bella because we you, Bella, and Zori were the trio. We were not. We were never like that. No. uh, it was always me and Ty. If you know Deja, Deja's in here. Uh, Deja's in here. Jiggly Jello. That was my best friend. She has been my best friend since 12. One of my best friends, but definitely my longest running friend. And it was, if you saw me, you saw her. We were like this. At one point, me and Bella was close. Um, but me and Bella stopped being close because of how she would treat Deja, how she was things she would say about Deja. Because I was close with Deja, and we had a different, me and Deja didn't meet just because we were trans. Me and Deja met because we were having life issues, life, trans, everything. We connected on many different levels, and so the way the girls would treat Deja in a way, it felt for me as a person who is this is my friend that I'm loyal to. When I would be in spaces with Bella and Zori or another or other people, they would say little smart shit about my friend, and it felt weird. It felt like, nah, bitch, this is doing too much. So it made us fall out. And then the last straw was Deja had melted one of her wigs at my house. And so that made us definitely separate because she was on some, talking crazy, and then we had to bop her. Um, then when we got older, we kind of reconciled and became cool. But ever since we were young, she had always been just a shady girl. She just was a shady girl. She was not she was, the Regina George. Not even the Regina George. I guess she would she be the Regina George? Especially when I didn't do nothing to her. Exactly. Y'all barely knew each other. She just was being shady because she was like the Regina George. That's what she was like. That's the closest I can. She just was she had that kind of mean girl personality. And so I never was close to her. Never was like, it never felt like I was in a clique with her. Mm-mm. I was my own person. And then me and Zori, mm-mm. Never, ever, ever was ever close to Zori because Zori was kind of worse than Bella. um, was kind of worse than Bella. Um, I was the type of girl that let me give you an example. So I say that I would go. This is how Bella would be. So say I would go to Bella's house and there's girls there, trans girls, and we would be there. And I I went to college, I went to, so I wouldn't always be in the city. I would come back to visit for like Christmas break or spring break or something. So I wasn't always in the city. So sometimes girls didn't see me all the time. And so when I would come back and they meet me, they like, oh, she's sickly. They're giving my rides. Bella would be the girl, be like, is she? That's how Bella is. Bella is a type that will just be messy and catty. And that's her, that's has always been her personality once she had gotten older. Um, and then it just got worse. As she got older, it just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And it led to me having to pop her. And then we definitely weren't friends after that. And so yeah, we never was a trio. Never was a trio. But they couldn't treat me like some of the other girls because not to toot my own horn. Me and my girls was sickening, girl. We could tip through and be fish about it. So y'all can play all the games that y'all want. Y'all could, be catty and messy. But honey, we go we going to the straight club being fish. We having a trade and all the, when you're young, that's what was important, being fish and having a trade. So, we turning boys out left and right while they clocking you and being rude to you, calling you a man. You go into the rink and everybody is calling you a man and saying, "Oh, they know you and know you trans and da da da." We could go to the club and be fish. because we were their girls. Like, no, it just a whole different. This was a whole different ball game. It was a whole different ball game, and they couldn't play some of the games that they would play with some of the other young girls or girls that in their we were in their age bracket, but people coming up and coming around, they couldn't play with us like that. Yeah, we just couldn't. We It just was too much. We just couldn't. Anyway, people that I do like in indie, I like Tia. I met Tia in 2001, and she has come a long way, and she's always been cool and been real. Um, Sizzling Sandra, she's always been cool and nice. Who else? Trying to think of who else is in indie that I actually like. um, yeah, that's about it. The rest of the girls, either I didn't really get close with them, or I didn't, um, or I moved and I didn't. Yeah, I didn't get close with them. I know of them, but don't know them in a way to be cool. I think they wanted us to suck up to them, but none of that was happening. Right. I think that's really what it boils down to. We were girls with our own mind, girls who had our own woman, who had our own. Oh, Chablis, yeah, I love Chablis. Um, we had our own woman, we had our own thing, you know what I'm saying? We weren't trying to be anybody, and we didn't feel like we were beneath anybody because we could do what they do or more. So there was no reason for us to look up at them. First of all, we were all the same age. Zori was a little bit older, but we all came out at the same time. We all came out young. We all was rock sock in the city. We all was pretty. We all were doing the same thing, some or more. Because, like I said, because Bella was popular, she couldn't go nowhere without her tea being clogged. Yeah, wild, wild, wild days. But I don't miss Indy. Indy. I don't miss the cold. I don't like the cold weather. I don't like none of that. All right, so let's talk about some stuff. Now that we've been in a thing. Um, go to my notes. Go to my notes. All right. So I've named this video, this live, "We Are Not a Monolith," because there are general consensus around transness, around some of the themes that transness brings up. Um, how to be trans, what is trans. There are some consensus that we all agree upon, but there are people who are outliers. There are some people who are not necessarily in accord with most of the community. And they have a right to have different feelings that are outside of the community mainstream thought process. Okay. So let me give you a couple of example of trans outliers. There are some trans women who feel that you are not a real trans woman until you have had SRS. Went all the way and went and got a sex change. There is a group of trans women who feel this. You're not a real trans woman unless you go all the way with your surgeries. That is not the whole community, but there is a small portion of our community that thinks like that because they don't feel like you're a real woman until you get your ding ding cut off. Press one if you're a trans woman in here and you have heard that thought process. Not if you agree, but if you have heard that thought process. Press one. Put a one in the chat. Um, there are some trans women, and when I'm a trans woman, so I'm speaking for a trans woman experience. This all blankets trans men too. I just don't want. I'm not gonna say trans men, but if you, I'm friends with tons of trans men, and they will tell you the same thing that their thought processes about their transes. There are tons of different type of people, mindsets in our community because we are not a monolith. And so I'm saying trans women, but I'm pretty sure this translates in that community, trans community, masculine community as well. Here's another thing. There is a certain number of trans women who feel like if you do any type of topping, if you put your penis in somebody's butt, you're not a real woman. Real women are bottoms. They take dick. They don't give it. Real women are bottoms, and they do all of that stuff, all the girl stuff. Because if you do that boy stuff, that means you really want to be a man. You really are just a butch queen and just a faggot trying to do just dressed up like a girl. Press one if you've heard that group of girls. If you've heard girls say that, this is a small group of people, but it's not the group consensus. But that is something that we have heard girls say about other girls. Okay. Um. Okay. Also, not the consensus, but one of the reasons why this live was inspired. There are some trans girls that are offended by you asking them their pronouns. Press one if you've heard girls say that. Press one if you heard girls say that. And press two if you are one of those girls. It might be. It might be one of those girls that's in here. I'm only offended depending on the setting. Okay. Um, there are some trans girls who feel like you're not trans until you have titties and you're living as a woman full time. Press one if you have heard that. Mm. You're not trans until you got some surgeries. I've heard that. What else? What else? What else? What else? There are some people who feel that all trans women should have the ultimate goal of passing. Let me know if you've heard that. Your ultimate goal should be passing. You should look the part. You should look like cis people. You should want to look like Cinder. Or you should accept that you're gonna have problems if you're not trying to look the part. If you don't look like a woman, if you're not trying to look like a woman, you're not shaving your face, you're not putting on your makeup, putting on your girl clothes, you're not doing all that you can do to look like a woman, then maybe you're just not a woman. Maybe you're just not meant to be this. Maybe you're just not this is just not for you. There are some people the goal is passing. Hmm. I know that's not normalized thinking nowadays. All right. So these are all things that some people might say to you, but they are also all things that there are going to be some people in our community that vehemently disagree with that. With all the things I just said. So we are not a monolith. And everybody who is speaking on the trans experience, including myself, does not speak for the whole of us. Now, another element is, as an activist, as somebody who has a platform, as somebody who um, tried to educate people, I know that there are going to be some people listening to me that I'm educating about the community. So I am very, very intentional about sharing the multiplicity of our thoughts, of our experience, of our expression, of all the things that I know of, and as my connection to community, I can share with you how different people think, and I'm very, very intentional. Hey, Anthony, I'm very, very intentional about sharing those kind of nuances and why those nuances exist. Now, there's a lot of times that people don't have that community aspect in their mind, and they're only speaking from a selfish, egotistical mindset. They're not thinking about their answer in reference to the community. They're thinking about their answer in reference to themselves. I'm just telling you my experience, and that's okay. They have no conscious mind of how this is going to affect community. They are just thinking about it in, I'm just telling you my experience. It's okay for them to do that, but me personally, I think it is harmful for you to not take into account that you are an outlier when it comes to the general consensus of community. Flame. There are some things that Flame says that are absolutely okay for you to say for yourself. But when you get on big platforms and talk against a whole community, that is harmful. And I know everybody is like, oh, they have a right to feel how they feel. You do. But there is a responsibility that you have when you speak for the whole community, and when you get so popular that you have a bullhorn, and you have a big platform, you no longer can say, you know how celebrities always be like, I'm not a role model, you raise your children. Yes, on the basic level, yes, parents raise their children, and it's their job to rear their children. But you, as somebody who has a platform that people are going to be looking into, and you influence people, you have a responsibility, not for it to be totally control your life, but for you to consider it. Consider that you have a platform, and if you running around telling young children to do drugs that look up to you, is that the smartest, most responsible way to use your platform? Probably not. And so I think about that with certain people. It's like you have a platform. I think it's your response, especially some in our community as trans people who are currently attacked, who are currently getting this new spotlight that we didn't have for decades before. We just came into the national consciousness as a serious topic in the past 5 to 7 years. Um, so I think it's our responsibility to have that. And so sometimes I recently there was a video was that there was girls on the video saying that they are offended when people ask their pronouns. Listen, baby, Let me back up. Another element is being popular does not mean you are intelligent. There are tons of celebrities, activists, um, popular people, particularly on the internet, who are dumb as a box of rocks at a Trump rally in Mississippi. They have smooth, fat free marshmallow for brains. They are not smart. They are not intelligent. They do not have wisdom. And just because they are popular, people will give them a pedestal to say things. And they say some of the most dumbest stuff that doesn't make sense. They may be trans, they may be queer, they may be gay, they may be whatever, they may be these things, and they may understand the very simple concepts when it comes to the ideology and the concept that we discuss around gender, but they can't go in depth. They don't have the mental capacity to go in depth about it. But they are popular because they are funny or they look good. They're cute. They make funny little jokes or funny little videos and they become popular because of that, not because of their intelligence. And so you put a camera in front of their face or a mic in front of their mouth and they will say some of the dumbest shit that without thought because they don't have the mental capacity to be in depth. And and everybody has different ranges of mental capacity. But that's just the truth. Some people are just dumb or haven't read enough or haven't went in depth in this. They're just living their life, which is okay for them to do. But they don't have the range to be talking about these in-depth concepts in a way that is going to be broadcast as a whole community thought. So that's one thing. And everybody in community bitches. Everybody don't care about the community as a whole. There are some trans women that are binary and don't give a damn how non-binary trans people are being treated and how they are connected. They actually think that they're not connected. I'm not that. That's a new age, new generation stuff. As if we are not connected and living in the same time. As if the people who are harming us think of us as so different. Yes, we know the nuances, but the people who are harming all of us don't. And so there has to be some accountability when we're talking about each other to the public. And let's keep it now, you know, I'm not the most 100% passable girl in the world. I'm not. I got a deep ass voice. I'm a 5'11", so I'm at that height where it's like maybe not, girl. But I can honestly tell you, anybody who's been around me, when I go out in public, I usually don't be getting clocked. It's always ma'am, it's always miss, it's always her, da 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 da. But it's a couple of things. Getting clocked is about other people's perception of you, which you can't control. There was a time back in the day that trans wasn't popular. So you could go around and nobody even think that you trans because it's just a rare thing for somebody to be trans and out. No, I think I am beautiful. I'm definitely beautiful. I'm talking about passability. That's another element too. Being beautiful and passable is a different thing. Beauty and passing are two different things. You can be pretty in a clock box. You can be pretty, and there are tons of pretty girls who, yeah, you pretty, but we know you trans. You are not fooling anybody. you are not, you are not, you are not passable. You are pretty. You are gorgeous. There's tons of, especially these popular ones. There are tons of popular trans women who are beautiful, not dead gorgeous. But when you look at them, you know they trans. And then there's some ugly, ragamuffin, mud duck trans women that is, baby, I'm trying to stop saying fish, but fish out the back door. You will never clock them. They just look like regular, average, ugly women. there is some, listen, there is a difference between being passable, and that's number one. And we're coming in an age where transness is popular. And so what people are accustomed to looking for, what people are accustomed to seeing and knowing how to clock is going to change. Back in the day when there was no trans people around, you could be the trans person that, I don't know what a trans person is. You look like a woman, so I'm going to think you're a woman. But now that all these trans people is out in the world being free, they're able to see more trans people. And so, this might be a trans person. I'm used to seeing these markers, that big brow bone, how they talk, how all these markers that because they're seeing more trans people, they're able to clock trans people more often than they used to back in the day. So you are less passable. You're less passable now than you were probably when you started off. That's number one. And number two, talking with their hands. It's so many different things. Using lingo. All the gay lingo is coming into the mainstream, so they clock you because of that. Another element. Y'all going to these same doctors, getting the same training, facial feminization, looking exactly the same. And so trans start to have a look. Y'all even claiming that the cis women is starting to have a trans look because they getting BBLs and they getting facial feminization because there is a trans look. That's what y'all claiming, and I agree with you. There is a trans look that is quite popular today with cis women trying to get it. And this is not me saying that cis women are trying to be trans women, but there is a particular look that we are seeing now when it comes to the video vixen, BBL girls, the lashes, weave, nails, that back in the day everybody attributed to trans women because the trans women were overdone, doing too much because they were compensating to be women. So they were doing the lashes, the wig, and motherfuckers love to claim, this is a side note, I don't think, and I think I've said this before, but I'm gonna say it again. I don't think that this popularity in lace fronts and colorful hair, I don't think Amaya Scott gets her just due in setting that trend. I watched this interview with Nicki Minaj talking about she started this trend or whatever. I was like, girl, the first girl I was seeing with those sickening ass lace fronts with different color hair, what with that kind of unicorn pretty hair going into 3 or 4 different colors, was Amaya Scott. I'm sorry. Now, we can go all the way back to a little Kim when we talk about her like synthetic color wigs, and we can go there, but it's a particular look that I'm talking about that Amaya Scott really slayed. And once she started doing it, the girls started to hire the Tokyo Styles to do their hair like that. The girls started to hire these butch queens that was getting it from Amaya to do their hair on the Cardi B's and the Nicki Minaj. They were getting that transfer of inspiration, but they didn't know where it was coming from because the butch queens was taking it and putting it on the fish, on the cis women. Maybe it's hard for me. Putting it on the cis women. And she don't get enough credit for that. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But there's starting to be a look. And some of you girls go get surgeries that you don't need. You were so sickening at first, and then you go get these surgery and it made you look more trans than you were trans. And so I say all of that to say this. Sometimes you are not as passable as you think you are. Let's just keep it real. Keep it all the way real. You might get through sometimes, but you're not as passable as you think you are. And sometimes people are just not responding to them knowing that you're trans. Some people are just letting you get through because they don't care. And we've done the work to get the culture to a point where they don't care or they mind their business. But passing is about, and I say all of that to say passing is about somebody else's perspective of you. It is out of your control. I had a friend who thought just because no one laughed or said anything that no one knew her teeth. That part. That don't mean no one knew. All of us passable girls have been out on a date thinking we getting through, and then the trade at the end of the night ask us to suck our piece. Oh, I knew. I just wait for you to tell me. Focus on yourself and not passing. Now, I don't want to I don't want to dismiss passing is important to safety. Passing is important to people because people want to be normal, people want a sense of normalcy. People are indoctrinated into cis heteronormativity, so looking cisgender is a part of that goal, and it's okay because it does come with some privileges. But I want to say you don't have any control over how somebody perceives you. So this is why it's important for people to ask, what are your pronouns? Okay? I'm sweating or something because it's, yeah. Take these glasses out. Um, that's why it's important for people to ask, what are your pronouns? It is important because yes, you can't say, what do I look like? Bitch, if I think you look like a man, in my brain, you might have this wig and this whatever you got going on that you think you so sickening, you think it should be obvious, but to me it ain't obvious. And so, because I want to be respectful, and I heard everybody say that I can just respectfully ask, I'm going to ask you, what are your pronouns? Because I'm not for sure, because I could come out and say he, because I'm thinking he. Yeah, you could be a drag queen, just dressed up. So what do I call you? Everything isn't as obvious as you think it is. Some people aren't sure. And if someone has to ask your pronouns. Now, I've been in spaces because of that's another element too. And like, I want to make it very clear, I'm not saying this because I think I'm the most passable thing in the world. I'm cool. I get through sometimes. I don't get through sometimes. And that's okay with me. I don't give a fuck. I'm a grown ass woman. Don't care. um, but I don't get people just coming up to me asking me, what are your pronouns? That is not a norm. Only time I get asked that is when I'm in queer spaces. That's the only time I get asked that. When I'm at the Starbucks, people call me ma'am. When I'm at the gym, people call me ma'am. When I'm at the grocery store, ma'am. You want paper or plastic, ma'am? It, Miss, you drop your bag, ma'am. That's all I get. Ain't nobody coming up to me saying, what are your pronouns? Until I'm in a queer space. And what it is they are trying to get people to have a space to ask because there are so many people who are at a level of their queerness, transness, non-binariness. Excuse me. That however they express themselves, is not 100% obvious of what direction they are going. And we are not just talking about Alok. Alok, I think Alok is brilliant. They are a brilliant speaker. I think Alok is one of the most brilliant, prolific speakers of our time. Anytime I hear them speak, and I just think they are chef kiss. But someone seeing Alok on the street could be confused about what's going on. What I should call you? Are you okay with me calling you a boy? Are you okay with me calling you he, him, they, them, she, her? What am I supposed to do with you? Is everybody presenting like Alok? Absolutely not. But there could be some people who, while they don't intentionally present as non-binary as Alok, there could be some things that people see that you think they're not seeing, but they are seeing it. You coming, I done seen trans women out and about, and me as a trans person, I would think that they were trans, but they weren't. They just was a butch queen with some hair. Everything else was in girl clothes, heels, hair, but they were just a butch queen. And when I said, hey ma'am, how are you? They were like, I'm not a ma'am, I'm a boy. Oh, my bad, I'm sorry. They could easily be a trans woman in their early transition. I get asked by patients at the hospital, and it always catches me off guard. Not because of passing, but because they're actually asking versus assuming. Right. We have taught them well. We have set a standard. We have had a conversation, and it has gotten to the people, and people are going along with it and saying, okay, well, the trans people I heard on the television, the trans people that I heard at this little rally, the trans people that said that it's okay for me to respectfully ask what are your pronouns so I can address people the right way. And they listened, and we're seeing this cultural shift. So I think it is horrible for trans women to get on a platform and say, oh, I'm offended. Not that you cannot be offended by it. I want that to be very clear. When we're talking amongst everybody and say, girl, I hate when a motherfucker ask me my pronouns, child. Because, honey, that means that I ain't doing my job when it comes to being passable. That means you clocking me. That means you being shady. You trying to clock my tea. Da 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 da. Saying that to us, we could be like, girl, yes, we could agree and understand. Because all heads, we work hard to get to the level that we're at. And so you asking me what my pronouns, bitch, what you think my pronouns is, bitch? I understand the mindset of it. I understand it. But I also understand that we are trying to have a cultural shift that benefits all of us who are under this umbrella. You may not agree. You may not feel like you have a responsibility to people who are not expressing their transness like you, or who have trans ideologies like you. You may not feel like you have a responsibility to them. And that's okay as too. But I'm just sharing why these people shouldn't have a platform. Not shouldn't have a platform. Why these people shouldn't be seen as the end all voice of the trans community. Because what happens is, and y'all see it all the time with Flame, y'all see it all the time with these butch queens, y'all see it all the time. What happens is the cis people who are against you will say, look, see, look at this example, this outlier who does not agree with most of the trans people. And they will give them a platform and say, see, look at how crazy these people are. They don't even know what they want. They tell us to ask about pronouns. Look at that video that we're talking about. Look at the comments in that video. You're going to see a million cis people saying, see, See, soon as you try to be respectful, they switch it up. This is confusing. Definitely David Johns. This is confusing. So, y'all, it's I saw it on the gay magazine Instagram. It's really nothing. It's girls, trans girls saying that they're offended by being asked their pronouns. There's a couple of things. I think the whole video is on Tea Time. Um trans tea time. I don't remember the exact name. I think it's tea time. Tea time. And the whole interview is there, but the clips that they took, which is why you know why they took these clips. The clips that they took is them talking about how they're offended by somebody asking them their pronouns. They can be offended. We don't get to tell people how they shouldn't be offended. We don't get to tell people that. People can be offended by whatever they want to be offended by. But what I'm telling you as a person who use my platform, I'm telling you that these people are outliers of our community. Most of us understand when you are asking what my pronouns is, which is rarely happening. I want to say that very clearly. It is rarely happening. But most of us understand when you're asking that, you're just trying to be respectful. Most of us understand that. And we'll say she, her, and hers. It's like putting it in your bios, in your signature on your email. She, her, and hers. Just to make sure people clear on what they should call you if there's any confusion. And people are asking you that because maybe they're confused. And like I said, sometimes you're not as passable as you think you are. Passability is about other people's perception of you. Okay, let me go into a little bit deeper of the conversation. Okay, so let's take it out of the the transgender realm, okay, and bring it out to bigger picture. Let's look at the cisgender culture. So, when you're born as a human being, you are indoctrinated into a way of being. If you are a girl, girls dress this way. If you are a boy, boys dress this way. Okay. Now we're talking about gender expression. We're not talking about sexual orientation or gender identity. We talk about just how you express your gender through your clothing, through your hair, through stuff. Okay. There is a general idea of how a woman dresses. Okay. Can y'all give me some general things that as far as gender expression, what are some things that you associate with being a woman? And I know we're in the US, so we have a very US specific mindset in around that. But what are some things that as far as gender expression, how women express their gender, what are some things that you learned in your young age of things that are associated with being a woman, how you physically express your gender? So for me, long hair, let me start off, pink and or floral clothes, shirts, blouses, heels, tights. Yeah, tighter clothes. Um, Makeup, yes, long nails, long color on the nails, not necessarily long, but any color. But long nails definitely, long hair, long fingernails, lashes. Somebody said lashes. What else? Give me something else. Give me something that hasn't been named. Um, a soft voice, being loud. Now, I'm a black woman, so I know tons of loud black women, but that is something that is against the grain when it comes to femininity. Being a woman, you're supposed to be soft spoken. Curves, yes, that figure, that curvy body, small shoulders, small waist, ample hips, thick legs, and that may be different across different races and different colors. But in general, you ain't got most women ain't got no big wide ass backs. It's usually, you know, a soft skin, smoothness, hairless, height short. They're usually short. What else? Give me some more things. Hey Maxwell, how are you? Hey Joelle, I don't think I spoke to you earlier. Is there anybody else I didn't speak to? Um, Smooth operator. Hey, I'm just Janae. Just making sure I didn't miss anybody. I'm sorry. I was talking. Um, Passive personality. All right. Any more? Any more that are associated with woman? All right. So, what are some things that are associated with being a man? What are, you know, flip it. What are some things that we learn in our growing up that are associated with being a man? Being a caregiver, even if they don't have children. Yes, definitely. So, hair, muscles, facial hair, deep voice. Height, tall, square jaw lines. If it's in clothing, very square, boxy, neutral or dark colors. So browns, navies, black, wide back, bigger person, boxy clothes, loose fitting sometimes, and that kind of ranges depending on what decade you grew up in. Because definitely in the 90s, everybody was baggy ass clothes. Adam Apple, big feet, aggressive, benefit of the doubt always. I don't know about that. You must not be talking about black men. Looking guns, being physical labor restricted to them. Okay. So I'm talking about physical gender expression. Physical gender expression. How they express that they are a man to you. So it can be, how about their physical self. Clothes, long pants or longer shorts. You rarely gonna see men in short shorts. Now this varies based on era, a decade you're in. Because in the '80s, baby, they used to have them shorts, these short shorts. But especially nowadays, most men are wearing longer shorts. We just had this era of hoochie daddy shorts that kind of went back to a little bit shorter, but even then wasn't even as short as the '80s. But usually it's longer shorts, um, pants, hairy bodies. Yes, 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 yes. What else? What else is about gender expression? How they trim their beard, how they get their hair cut, waves, how they wear their hair. Um, it's either going to be some kind of short style. If it's long, it's going to be like dreads. Something masculine. Being taller. Yes, 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 yes. So, okay, so some of these things are not biological. So some of the things that we were taught that we have laid out are going to be things that are like something we can buy, like clothing. So cisgender people are taught, not just any human, anybody born into this world is taught how those things are supposed to go in their culture. It varies from culture to culture because there's some stuff that men in India can wear that men in America can't wear without being like getting a side eye. So understand that it varies, but we're US based, so we're gonna talk US. So there's things that we learn. And so as we get older, as older humans, we either choose to go with the status quo, like when you think about how a woman is supposed to express it. So let's take something simple as a dress. So dresses, we as we grow up, we learn that dresses are associated with women and girls. Okay, dresses are feminine. Dresses are associated with women and girls. So when you get older as a woman or a girl, you learn that certain dresses, certain styles of dresses convey a certain message, right? So if you choose to conform to wear dresses, you can choose to not conform in another way. So you can be a bodycon, tight, kind of sexy kind of girl, or you can be a flowy, feminine, delicate, soft fabric kind of dress girl. A floral, or you can do a bright color, or you can do a dark color. You can do vinyl leather kind of dress to give it a little edge, because there's a certain thing that rebels, there's a certain look that rebels against the status quo, right? So you can rebel in the way of femininity. Like there are some women who don't wear dresses because that's not their vibe. They intentionally don't wear dresses because they are actively rebelling of what society says is feminine, what a woman should wear. And this is not comfortable for me. So cis people can actively rebel against the status quo of what is deemed normal when it comes to their gender expression. When we think about Twisted Sister, John Bon Jovi, them kind of rock bands of the 80s that kind of were wearing makeup and lipstick and blonde hair booed out, but they were heterosexual. When we think about in the Black community, we had this kind of hard gangster rap happening in the 90s that was like baggy pants, hoodies, thugged out stuff. But then we had a couple of people that were kind of getting out of that. When we think about that, were still heterosexual, but they were doing more of a soft man look, like a Eric Benet, a Raphael Sadiq, um, that were rebelling against what the status quo was. This is what cisgender people be doing. So I want y'all to clock that. So they are making conscious decisions to not be the status quo, to not do what is expected of them. Right? Snoop Dogg and his Shirley Temple curls and silk press, DJ Quick, all that kind of stuff. And that is another, in the Black community, that is another cultural thing. Having a silk press and curls and shit and being a nigga is in pimp culture. And Snoop Dogg was trying to be in this pimp culture mindset when he was younger. So we have to understand that that's a whole that's a nuance of that. So he was mimicking pimp culture. Pimps had press and curls and shit like that because that's what he was trying to portray that he was doing. So even that is a nuance. But I want you to understand that cis people, everybody, there is a status quo of how you dress. The only difference between us is that there is a biological factor that we are trying to buck up against when it comes to trans people. So there are some biological markers that when it comes to expression our gender that we are trying to undo. So some things we can't undo. If you got to grow to 6 foot something, you can't undo your height. There are some surgeries I've been seeing, science is science. So eventually, but right now, it's not too many surgeries that can change your height. I've been seeing some, so science is coming. But look, there's some things. But physically, there's so many biological ranges of what you can be, of how you can look. So when we go back up here, when we think about hairy bodies, we said that was associated with men, okay? But are there men that don't grow hair? Absolutely. There are men who don't grow hair on their face. They talk about it all the time. God, I can't even grow no beard. My beard can't even connect because they can't grow anything. My little brother barely grow any kind of hair. Is there women who grow hair? Are there cisgender women who grow hair? We know that there is. There's cisgender women who grow big ass beards, full faces of hair. Full faces of hair. Are there cisgender women who are tall? We know that there are cis women who are tall. Actually, in the modeling world, you have to be tall. You have to be I mean, one of the shortest ones, the popular ones, is Kate Moss. She's like 5'9". But even for a cis woman, that's tall. But most models are tall as fuck. But we know that there are people who are in this kind of range. But as trans people, we are trying to because we are trying to express our gender in a way, particularly not every single trans person, but most of us are trying to express our gender to align with the cis het norm. And so we are not only trying to fill the void with the whatever the cis heteronormative way of clothing, we also trying to be physically the physical part of our body. When we take our clothes off, we're trying to get that to match the cis norm. So cisgender people don't have to do that usually, but even that has some nuance because there are cisgender women who are getting FFF surgeries to look more feminine, getting their jawline shaved down, getting their brow bone shaved down, getting all these things to look more feminine, getting their nose smaller because a smaller nose, less ethnic nose is more feminine because we know so most of this cis heteronormative shit is rooted, beauty standards are rooted in white supremacy. So big nose, big lips, all that stuff is seen as masculine. And that's another thing. When these white women are getting lips, they're getting lips, but they're not getting lips like lips that we like. That is an outlier. They want a little bit of plump, but they don't want our super juicy, yummy lips that we love. They want to be exotic, but not too exotic. The same thing with color. They want to get tan, but they don't want to be dark because they don't want to deal with the colorism. They want to be exotic. So they be getting stuff to look like us, but not look like us. You feel what I'm saying? So even that shit, everybody is trying to change their look to look a certain way, and there is a cisgender or cisgender cis het norm that we all are going for. We all are whatever we deem to be feminine. We are trying to fit that, and that's going to be different from all for all of us. When we think about goth people, when we think about emo people, when we think about this kind of cottage core. Have y'all heard of cottage core? Cottage core is a look, how people dress that looks like they live in the rural areas of places. It's like a cottage look, especially like European cottage. Um, these the Afrocentric. When we think about Afrocentric looks in the Black community, Amish culture, no, not Amish culture. It's called cottage core. Look it up. It's cottage core, all one word. Cottage core. It's like just these kind of outlier fashion ways. There's a page on Wikipedia called alternative fashion, and it can give um, and it gives you a list of different type of fashion aesthetic they are against the status quo. Like flannels. No, flannels are there's a go look at them. I don't know all the names, but it's if you search alternative fashions, there's a Wikipedia page that gives you it. Oh, I see. Cottage core is like I like cottage core. Cottage core is like Little House on the Prairie, kind of. Not necessarily Amish. That's in the line, but it's cottage, like a woman that lives in the cottage or a man that lives in the cottage, in some rural area of the country. It's muslin fabric, sheer sucker. Oh, I see. Like modern Little House on the Prairie. Yeah, exactly. It's cute. I just looked it up. Yes, cottage core. So these things, how you express your gender, are what we all deal with. And I just want to make it very clear the only difference that is kind of common is trans people are bucking up against the biology that can come with being going through puberty as a male or going through puberty as a girl. But but even cis people who fall outside of the um, um, anthrometric norms, all of the physical human body averages. So some cis woman who got a wide ass back, she gonna be trying to find clothes that minimize her back. You feel what I'm saying? They're gonna be trying to do these things that make them less that make them seem more in line with the norm, even though their physicality does not align with that norm. Women who have deep voices, maybe they could get voice surgery, because I know cis women who've gotten voice surgery because their voice is deep as hell, or they smoked or something, um or they code switch, or they try to take their voice up when they want to when they want to seem more feminine. Or men with soft voices trying to put some bass in it when they want to seem more masculine and confident, because it's something that they do. Some of it is very cute. Southern small town Easter morning vibe. Yes, 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 yes. So I wanted to say all of that because I think we like to alienate trans people when it comes to the things that we are dealing with and going through and trying to do with surgery, trying to do with anything. Any surgery that is making you look more feminine, you doing the same thing that trans women are doing. Any surgery that is making you look more masculine, you doing the same thing that trans men are doing. Cisgender people, they're doing the same thing. Breast augmentation is for them to have bigger breasts to look more feminine. That's what trans women are doing. Gynecomastia, top surgery for trans men. Cis men who get top surgery, they don't call it top surgery because that's not the nickname that they community gave it. Hair plugs, yes. All these surgeries that make you look more masculine. Taking steroids so you can be in the gym and get better results to look buff and masculine. That's a hormone, sweetie. That is a hormone. The same hormone that trans men are taking to be more masculine. You just don't got as far to go. When it comes to the binary, the physical binary, they're coming from this end all the way over here. But you are on the male side, but you're trying to be more masculine. What else did I want to talk about? In general, the chokehold when it comes to the difference between male and female and man and woman. A lot of cis people conflate the two, and we just got to get this. It's just language. There's language that is being adjusted. You got to understand, and this is this is one of the. I might be an outlier, so I'm sharing this, but I'm sharing that I might be an outlier, so that you are not taking what I'm saying as law for all trans people. I do not consider myself a female. I consider myself a woman. I don't consider myself a female because I think there's a difference between a female and a woman. I think there's a difference. And I don't, in my mind, in my definition of what a female is, I don't fall in the realm of female. I think the word female has more to do with some biological markers that I don't fit. Every trans person is not going to think like that. I think like that. And so me telling you, me telling you as a trans person is me just sharing my own personal experience, but I want to make it clear that I may be an outlier. I don't consider myself a female. Um, Female and male. That is a binary in itself. Okay. There are some people that are in some gray areas. I'm not one of those people. Now we can talk about, I've had this kind of conversation. We can talk about being intersex outside of physical genitalia. because there is a way that, I could see somebody being intersex if your brain went one way and your body went another. The structures, the actual physical structures of your brain going to more the female side, and then your physical body going to the male side. Technically, that would be intersex, but we like to make intersex people seem just about the physical intersex of the genitalia. Now, there's an argument that can be made that I kind of would ride with. I haven't gave it too much thought, but I kind of will ride with it because there is that. But I don't want to claim that, so I'm gonna leave that alone. But there is it's very logical if somebody made the point that if your brain went this way and your the physical, not we're not talking about the mind, we're not talking about feelings, we talk about the physical brain structure that went, because science has told us that trans people, their physical brain structure, even before hormones, goes the direction of the gender that they said they were. So I'm talking about the physical brain structure, not just um not just mind, not just the in the mind. The actual physical structure of the brain goes to the female side of biology, and the physical body goes to the male side of the body, or vice versa for trans men. And so I can see how somebody could say, well, that's intersex too. And I'll be standing right with them. I think so too. But right now, where we stand in the culture, intersex mean the physical nuances of the genitalia, the sexual reproductive organs. So there are people who are born, you know, where physically they look like a girl, but because of how they were, the conception and different chromosomes that they had going on, they actually were supposed to be a boy, but their actual genitalia didn't drop. And so sometimes when they get older, they go through male physical puberty, but they thought that they were a girl. There's syndromes, and these syndromes, people act like, well, these are real rare syndromes. But even if one of them are rare, when you add all of the different type of syndromes together, it's a lot of motherfuckers out here with some mixed up stuff going on physically on a chromosomal level. And so you would think that because all of this stuff is going on, and then another thing, I've talked about this before, but another thing, we talk about there's only an X and a Y. It is not only an X and a Y. There are some men who are born with an extra X. And there has not been any studies done on how that extra X, and it's in 1 in every 500. So it's really frequent with an extra X chromosome. And there has not been any studies done on how that X affect these men. And as many bitch ass niggas we got out here, it might cause they got X chromosome. Nah, I'm playing. It's so many pussy ass niggas out here. But this is, you can look it up. You did a video on this years ago. Yes, it's been years. This science has been out here for years. But it's 1 in every 5. The estimate is 1 in every 5 to 500 to 5, not 1 in every 5, 1 in every 500 to 5 to 1,000. So if you think about the billions of people in the world, if every male, at 1 out of every 500 or 1 out of every 1,000, somewhere in that range, are born with an extra X chromosome, how is that extra X chromosome affecting them and their development? Ain't enough science been done. And I'm tired of people who want to bust out, well, you can't change your DNA. You can't change biology. I don't care what surgery you get. That's because they have an 8th grade level of education around biology. Anybody who is acting like it's just male and female, just Y and just X, they have a 8th grade level education of biology. There is tons of people who have different variations of chromosomes when it comes to gender. You should never, right, uninformed and confident. 1 in 500 it is very common. Even 1 in 1,000 is common. And they said this ranges from 1 in 500 to 1 in 1,000. We haven't done enough research. We haven't done enough to know how these things are affecting people, because people usually are just born and we just raise them however we think they're supposed to be. We don't give it much thought until they get older and say, I think I don't think this gender thing was right. Then we want to force them. Then we want to talk shit about them and create laws against them and demonize them. And because of these nuances of expression, because some stuff is, I just want to express myself this way. And it may be confusing to you, but I love it. Because of these nuances of expression, because of these nuances of surgeries and physicalities that we can be, that everybody doesn't fall in these boxes, whether it be a biological box or a social construct box that we get to play with. Because everybody doesn't fall in these exact parameters, there are going to be some problems when we try to make these strict, non-fluid rules about what we should do and what we shouldn't do when it comes to gender. Period. That's why it's important for somebody to ask you, what are your pronouns? And why you shouldn't be. I'm not saying that you can't be. I'm not saying that you can't. I want to give you full autonomy and agency over your feelings. But I'm just advising and suggesting that you shouldn't be, because we should be in a world where if there are some nuances, people can ask respectfully. Hey, I'm you know, I'm not really sure what's going on and I don't want to be disrespectful. What are your pronouns? She, her, great. She, her, ma'am. 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 And they go with the flow. But just because you think you are that girl and you think that you passable and you think that everybody should be able to tell and it should be automatic, you should know what I am. Look at what I got on. Look at how I look. Motherfucker, motherfuckers is out here wearing the same exact shit you wearing and want to be called he. They got that same wig from the Asians. They got that same dress from Fashion Nova. And they want to be called he. So motherfuckers can't tell what your pronouns might be. Some people might be confused and ask you what your pronouns are. They might be confused. And that's nothing against you and nothing against them. They're just asking to be respectful because this is what we told them to do. This is how we told them to respect them, because there's no other way for them to know unless they ask you. And so if you're making it difficult for them to navigate your being without you being offended, and I'm only talking about the allies who want to do right. These other motherfuckers, they're transphobic. They don't care. They don't give a damn. Regardless of, they ain't even gonna ask you your pronouns. If they know you a fucking trans person, they gonna call you a he. I ain't talking about the transphobic ones who gonna call you whatever they want to call you, who want to find whatever reason to invalidate calling you what you are. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about allies who really want to be respectful to you. The ones who are asking your pronouns. Ain't nobody who else know you trans or think you trans on the right wing or on the conservative side, because sometimes the left, there be conservative left people. They ain't gonna ask you. They ain't gonna call you he and mister. It's the allies that want to be respectful that's gonna ask you, what are your pronouns? And so we got to give them grace. We don't have to, but you're making it more difficult if you don't. But yes, I think it's problematic when we don't give people who are trying to respect us grace. I think it's really problematic. And this is my last part because I wanted to talk about this. So recently on Twitter, there was a gay boy, okay? There was a gay boy who said, he asked, I want to read exactly what he said so I can not miss quote him. All right, so he asked gay men on his Twitter. He asked gay men, and he specifically says, "Gay men, y'all ever had pussy before?" Now, that was the tweet. Gay men, have y'all ever had pussy before? He says, so a trans man slid in his DMs trying to give him grace, slid in his DMs. Now, okay, listen to what the trans man says. Can you please delete this tweet? It comes off as insensitive to trans men just because we deal with enough of gay men talking about they hate pussy, and with all the political shit happening in the United States right now, it's just getting worse. Hey, Tea Time. Yes, it's Tea Time's video. So that's what we were talking about. So go to their Ashley Breeze runs that page, and go to their page to listen to the video that I was talking about earlier. Um, and so the trans man is telling him, basically, we get enough gay men talking about that, da, 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 da. And then the gay boy said, I'll delete it since it feels offensive, but I think they knew we were directing the statement towards cisgender women. And so this trans woman gets under the comment. Now, mind you, initially, sometimes I don't even want to get in the conversation. I just want to read what's going on because I don't have the patience or time. And so this trans woman get on there and says, as a trans woman, I'm still shaking my head. They go out of their way to make everything about them. I really wish some people would just understand that the world doesn't revolve around them. Me personally, I wouldn't have taken it down. Cool. I say to the trans girl, I say, as a trans woman, you sound silly because the only way society changes is if we ask somebody to change. They don't have to change, but if you never ask, they never know to make the adjustment. That's how social change happens. Someone asking folks to do something different. That's what we are all asking people to do something different. Black people are asking white people to do something different. Women are asking men in power to do something different. Gay people are asking straight people to do something different. Trans people are asking cis people to do something different so that we can navigate the world in safety and comfort, just like them. We are all asking people to do something different. It's not about us thinking the world revolves around us. It is about some unfair systems in the world that is causing us harm. So we are asking you to maneuver in the world differently. It's not us thinking that the world revolves around us. It's not us trying to take your space. It's not us trying to erase you. It is us trying to be in this world with you because we're here, motherfucker. We're not going nowhere. We're trying to be in the world with you. And we finally got the courage to say, hey, this is harmful. And then her response was, now this is a trans person. You're asking for adjustments that don't need to be adjusted. That's the problem. You're making it sensitive. You're making it a sensitive matter when it's from a topic that's not singled out to anyone other than gay men. If you're not a gay man, he wasn't talking to you. Okay, because remember his statement was, gay men, have you ever tried pussy? So she said he was talking to gay men, so he wasn't talking to you. So I say, first of all, you don't get to tell them the depth of how they should feel, aka their sensitivity. And number two, he didn't just mention gay men. He mentioned pussy as an object to try like it's a damn ice cream flavor, which is dehumanizing, which makes it relevant to people who have pussies who are dealing with gay men who objectify them. So you can make the assumption that everybody's going to think you're talking about cisgender women, but a lot of gay men try pussy with trans men because they look like men. And that's an easy crossover than just being with a cisgender woman. And a lot of trans men complain about being objectified by gay boys. So when you say, have you ever tried pussy like it's a fucking flavor of chip, instead of, have you ever been with a woman? You can expect somebody with a pussy who have a problem with being objectified not to have a problem with what you said. And they didn't just cuss you out. They slid in your DMs and said, hey, yo, this is kind of insensitive to what we going through. They were trying to give you grace. But because you don't want to accept that maybe this was worded wrong. Maybe this word's worded a little wrong. But you don't want to accept that. So you go on the platform and share it. Look at how sensitive these trans people are. And every transphobic gay person is going to come under the post and say, that's why I don't be trying to be no ally. They going to be whatever I call them. They going to do this. Look at the video that we talking about earlier. Look at the comments on the gay magazine page. Look at that page. Look at the comments. This is what they're going to do. It's just going to open up the door because you don't want to accept the grace that this person gave you. It's going to open up the door for them to say, throw every even little bit of, they don't want to change anyway, but even little bit of change that they have to deal with, now they're going to throw that away because it's one person. Everybody in the comments was saying all kinds of dumb shit. And I just addressed the trans woman because I'm a trans woman. I'm about gathering my own people. I don't sometimes with gay boys, sometimes sometimes I be off and I don't have the patience. But you a trans woman, come on now. You should understand this. You should understand. You should know better. But in that example, this is what I'm talking about. This could seem like a calm tweet that don't got nothing to do with trans people. It says, gay men, y'all ever had pussy? Now, me just looking at it, I don't have a pussy. So me just looking at it, I probably would have been scrolling. Oh, he talking about the gay boys that's doing pussy. But as a trans man who is bombarded with gay men who objectify them, especially if they on the sites with the gay men, I can see them looking at that saying, damn, this is what I'm talking about. You're objective. You're not even saying, have you ever been with a woman sexually? You're saying, have you ever had pussy before? Like pussy, I just said, like pussy is just an object. The misogyny is ingrained in that little statement, and you don't get it. You don't get it because you're like, oh, you're just being sensitive. No, the misogyny is ingrained in that statement. Do you understand? It's funny because they are so quick to say I'm being respectful, asking them go straight to your not passable. It's a man. And they don't even get it or they don't care. Yes. But is anybody that is listening to me right now not understanding how this statement has the misogyny ingrained in it? And this is a gay man that is saying this. Gay men, y'all ever had pussy before? That statement seemed like it's nice and not offensive, right? It seems like, oh, he's just asking gay men if they had sex with a woman, right? But there is an objectification in that statement that you got to clock, and that is ingrained in our culture. Like pussy is just a thing to try. It's not attached to a human. The fact that he screenshot the DM, he was trying to get clicks and points. And the trans man first came to his inbox, but then the trans man came to the actual post of his screenshot and said, "I'm the person who sent you this. I was trying to grace you." But his response was, "I will no longer be bringing up genders on my platform. It's too many rules and regulations on this shit. Sorry to those I offended." You see how that's like a passive aggressive way to address the issue that was the issue, and you didn't even have to do this publicly, but this isn't for the trans people that you're offended. This is so you can get the gay people who think like you to jump on the bandwagon. They're saying pussy like it's a cherry cola. Exactly. Literally asking like it's a new flavor at Wingstop. Exactly. And that misogyny is ingrained in how we talk about people. And so this trans person who has a pussy slides in your DM and says, "Hey, this is kind of insensitive." And instead of you bagging back and saying, "Hmm, I don't really understand how this is insensitive. Can you explain it a little more to me?" Because I was just asking a question. This is a private conversation. So y'all can have this back and forth privately and work through the education privately. That's why he slid in your DMs. So y'all can talk back and forth about it privately. He didn't do it on the tweet in public, but you put it on blast privately because you didn't want to, you want to take back. And now you want to say, "I'm not bringing up gender," like a fucking 3-year old having a temper tantrum. You can bring up gender, but people are going to tell you about yourself when it start being misogynistic or transphobic or whatever it is. And if you're an ally, you can just take it. You stop being sensitive. You can just take it. Oh, my bad. How should I have worded this? Hey, gay men, have you ever had sex with women before? Have you had a casual thing with women? Did you like it? How was your experience? Did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy your experience um having sex with women? I don't think anybody would have been offended, especially since you said you were talking about women. And women have casual sex, men have casual sex. How was your experience? But will be the first one to complain when the trade insinuates being gay makes someone less of a man. And that's annoying me. Y'all will talk about how sensitive trans people are doing, but when it comes to y'all shit, and this is for people who are on our side of the aisle. I don't have much respect or expectations of people over here that are conservatives. I have expectations of people who are on my side of the aisle. Gay folks, lesbians, women, black folks. It is hard for me to accept that you don't understand these nuance, but you know all the depths of nuance when it comes to your shit. It is hard for me to accept that this is hard for you to grasp. It is hard for me to accept that a black man who is used to being objectified for his BBC, who is used to being, even though that you may benefit from that at some point, but it still can be a problem in objectifying you and you understand the feeling. It is hard for me to get that you don't understand how colorism works, because there are some parallels in being objectified because of the color of your skin. There's some parallels. There's some parallels in the preferences of white people not humanizing you. It's just, oh, I just prefer black boys because da 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 da. When it's really just about your dick or the stereotype of your dick, because we know every black man don't got no big old dick. And how that can be rooted in racism. But then when you have a preference of a light skinned girl over a dark skinned girl, you're trying to say that that's just, oh, it's just a preference. That's rooted in racism too. And you don't understand how those things can be possible. When somebody give you an explanation of how that works, you can't understand it. How your preferences can be rooted in these problematic ideologies of the broader culture and how you learn them. You don't understand? Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. All right. That's all I wanted to talk about, darlings. What y'all want to talk about in these last couple of minutes? We'll be sitting in the barbershop getting their haircut on hush mode, nervous because of trade discussion gay folks, but won't see the parallels with transphobia. Come on. He could have specified cis women. That too, absolutely. Did you watch Swarm? I did not watch Swarm. Once I learned that it was a Donald Glover situation, uh, I I don't really like to support his stuff because I feel like there is a massage noir that's in his creations that I don't like, and it's real subtle, but I'm clocking it. Yeah, I haven't watched it, but yeah, I was in the middle of episode 3. Yeah, I haven't watched it. He got an anti-black woman vibe. He does. There's some massage noir in there that's really coded. I'm sorry. It's real coded. It's real coded. Sometimes it's blatant, but sometimes it's coded too. I'm like, I don't know if I like this. Right. That it was funny, but it was problematic. Yeah, the Atlanta jail situation. Same. I despise Donald Glover. Mm-mm-mm. So not Swarm. What else? I haven't really been watching a lot of TV lately either. They use Chloe to bring in views. Yeah. I don't. Do I want to have this conversation publicly? I was. No, not yet. I have to think this conversation through. I might have this conversation with the members section, but I don't know. There is an issue that I'm having that about the how do I say this? I haven't thought this all the way through. So, but there is a issue that I'm having that makes me uncomfortable when it comes to taking the way the agency of women and girls who are not who are in the age range between let me under 24. Now I'm not talking about children. I'm talking I'm talking about let when we're not let me ask y'all this. So people I'm not talking about a girl having sex with an older person. I'm talking about a girl having sex with somebody her age. When do you think a child, girl or boy, should be able to have sex voluntarily with somebody their own age and they have the agency to do it? When do you think, what age do you think it's okay for some girl or boy to have sex consensually with somebody their age? What age is old enough to make that decision? Not an older person. I want to make that clear. Right. Both parties, it's a consensual sex act. What age with with another person their age, what age should that person be able to make that decision for themselves? With peers, I see some people giving very adult answers when I know y'all motherfuckers was fucking around before y'all was 18 and 17. Well, maybe I don't know, not all of y'all, but I know most of the people that I was around was consensually messing around before 18. And I'm talking about peers. I'm not talking about old ass niggas. I'm not talking about consensually having sex with old men. I'm talking about having sex with somebody your own age. When do you get to have the agency as a teenager? What age can you choose to have sex with somebody your own age? And it's okay. Eighth grade is 13. Somebody said 14. I see 16. High school age at least. So that's 14. We're talking about consensual. we're talking about consensual sex with peers, and they're saying, I want to make it very clear, I, oh my God, I like this boy. I have gotten the talk from my parents about birds and the bees. I am I know about condoms, I know about this stuff, and I think that I'm ready to have sex with my boyfriend or this guy, don't need to be your boyfriend, but whoever you want to choose to have sex with. They have wooed me. I'm attracted to them. I want to do it. They're sexy. They think I'm sexy. They're my age. What age is it okay for a girl to have? And I keep saying girl because I keep saying this issue. I keep seeing this issue with girls. I don't really see this issue with too many boys. So when can they have the agency over their body? I'm not talking about legal. I'm talking about your personal opinion. When can they say, I want to have sex right now and I want to do it and it's okay? I'm having it. The Chloe thing sparked this thought because I'm having an issue with when we let girls, young women, have agency over their body. Yeah, I'm. There's something about between the ages of 16 and 24. First of all, it's a wide range. That is a wide range. So 16 to 24, that's almost 10 years. Um, but there is a infantilization of them that takes away their agency that I'm in some conversations that I'm having an issue with. No one shamed Damson Idris and told him he was ruining his career. Of course not. Because misogynoir and misogyny. Common social perception is that girls and women never have the agency. It belongs to their father until it's passed on to their husbands. Ooh, that's a good point. I don't think that applies to every culture, but that is definitely in the religious sector. People talking about Chloe like they were watching porn is acting, people, and more than likely a body double, hence why we didn't see her face. No, it wasn't a body double. She said it was her. She said it was her, and she said she was talking about in an interview, she was talking about it being comfortable because what people don't understand about sex scenes is you're not really fully naked. You got these things covering your body parts, and it's tons of people around with cameras and stopping and starting is not a sexual experience from what everybody talks about. And she was explaining that. She was like, and everybody made her comfortable, um, including Idris Damson. Um, so yes, so it was her. It wasn't a body double, but but that is a grown ass woman, and I especially when we think about child stars, there's always this issue. There's always this issue of when girls are coming of age, of how we respond to their womanhood and them having agency of choice of how they're gonna present their body. Agency and we understand the nuance of how this is a common choice. The sexualization is a common choice because of um, the world says this is how you be grown. So yes, you're making a choice, but it's also influenced by a lot of stuff too. I feel like parental agency in regards to someone's sex life is almost makes believe because who is actually getting consent from anyone else? Explain that a little bit. From your parents? Go deeper than that so I can understand what you're saying. I hope we're all getting consent from everyone else. What do you mean? Explain that a little bit more. Who is getting consent from their parents? Yeah. Rarely am I meeting teenagers who are having sex. Rarely am I meeting teenagers who are having sex that are going to their parents saying, "Hi, mom. Hi, dad. Can I have sex now?" No, they're not doing that because they know their parents is gonna be like, "No." More than likely, now you might have some cool ass parents that might, be cool, but that's not a norm. You most people are not asking for consent from their parents. Do you think that sex is most people's first adult act of agency, like the first grown up thing they did? Um, no, I think the first people's first act of agency is usually the clothes that they decide to wear. Usually that's where parents start to relinquish control of their children is in the clothes. Not all the time, but usually kids start to have more adult choices when it comes to their clothing. They usually get more freedom. What do you want to wear to school? How do you want to dress? What do you want me to buy you? How do you want me to buy your school clothes? So I would think clothes. Clothes, maybe a name, maybe, depending on um but yeah, I think clothes. I usually think cursing is the first act. But a lot of time kids be cursing not in front of their parents though. They'll curse on the playground with their other um let me take my shoes off. Um on the playground with other kids, but they don't I'm talking about I was thinking about when their parents allow them. But I guess yeah, if it was just if we're not talking about parents allowing them, no, I still think it's close. I still think it's close. Yeah, I still think it's close. Because I feel like some dudes, not some dudes, some kids start cussing and they don't even know what the words are. Like it's not about being an adult or having agency. It's my parents cuss and I use the word and I say it, and I don't really know what it means or the nuances of what it means. But I think it's close. Yeah, yeah, but language clothes, I can see them being some people being various different. Yeah, not sex. I think yes, I think there are some people who are having sex um, before high school. I learned yes, but I think in high school is where most people start having sex. I think. Now, I'm not 100% sure about the stats. I haven't looked it up in a long time. But when people start to question whether or not they want to have sex or not, I think it whether they do it may vary, but I think high school is when it starts to be, once puberty, that puberty is when your body is saying, your biological saying, fuck something. Them hormones is saying, get them cheeks clapped, baby. And I don't think people understand the power of that physical pressure. We ain't even talking about the peer pressure or the you know the media. We talk about just the body saying this dick is hard and want to get up in something. What's up? I don't think people. understand the pressure and power of them chemicals. Or they do and ignore it, honey. I think middle school. Yeah, middle school for me, and this is anecdotal, so I don't know everybody's experience. I wasn't. I was. I guess I was thinking about it. I guess I was thinking about it, but I wasn't acting in the sense of. I didn't get like actual penetrated until I was 16. Now gobbling some meat. I was gobbling some meat real early. I was gobbling some meat real early, child. I was, yes. So, yeah, I think I'm a real outlier in regards to that because I remember this. I don't think this is a norm at all. I think, but it was my experience. I remember 69ing at 4 years old with my 4 year old peer, Richard. My mother had a my mother had a homegirl named Vivian, and Vivian had a son, and my mom had a son. Um, and my mom worked in the daytime. No, no, no. My mom worked in the nighttime, and Vivian worked in the daytime. And so sometimes my mom would keep Richard and me when Vivian was at work, and Vivian would keep me and Richard when my mom was at work. They were helping each other because they were both young teenage parents, and so they both was helping each other out. Shout out to black women helping other black women out. Um, and I would spend the night over Vivian's house, and me and Richard would be in the bed together, and we would suck each other peace. And we were four. And I had never saw porn. I've never seen my mother have sex. I think I heard her having sex one time when I got like 16, but I've never seen or heard prior to that. I never had seen or heard my mama have sex. Um mm, yeah, so I didn't know how we knew, but we was at four, we were both 4 years old and we were 69 in child. So I was doing stuff really, really early. Um, but I don't think that's a norm. I don't think that's a norm. But I was. And as I got older, me and my boy peers, because I never messed with an adult um, until I got in my teenage years. Uh, yeah, I've been gay adjacent. You've been gay adjacent all your life, child. Yes. um, Yeah, and I never messed with an adult male until I was like 16, 17. Um but when I was in my preteens, middle teens, it was all peer on peer, same age people messing around. Was there anything enjoyable about it? Yeah, I didn't come, of course. It felt good. I think we were doing it because it felt good to us. I can't remember it being, oh my god. Oh, I feel like I'm about to, I don't remember that, but I do remember it feeling good. I don't know. I can't think of anything because the first time I saw porn I was like 7. Um the first time I like saw people having sex I was like 7. like around that like 7 age, but this was way before that. Yeah. So I don't know. What else? Um, yeah. Most of the stuff was I was peer on peer, peer on peer. So yeah, there's a conversation. I still want to have it because there's some couple of things. There's some, like I said, I haven't worked the thought process. But there's something contradictory about agency of a young woman. And let's say, and so that's just about teenage young people. Let me ask y'all this. So and most people said 18, 17, 18. So let's take 18. So I was a whole little kid. I look back and cringe. So between 18 and 24, sometimes it extends past there. But between, let's say 18 and 23, 18, 19, 22, 1, 2, 2. Let's say 22. So there's something, it can extend up and down like a year, 17 to 23. There is something weird happening culturally that is not giving agencies to that group of women. It is not allowing them to be able to say, this is who I want to have sex with. Legally, yes. Legally, they can. But talk about culturally, like, say, for example, I'm an 18-year-old girl and I'm messing with a college age boy that's like 22, 23. I've seen conversations that called the boy a pedophile because he was messing with an 18-year-old girl, even though they could have met and became friends when she was a freshman and he was a senior. And they were in community with each other. And he went off to college, even though he might have stayed in the city, and they grew a relationship. And so she's having sex with him at 18 and he's this age. That don't mean he was a pedophile. That don't mean he was a predator. They could have easily built a honest, loving relationship where she had full agency in making the decision to have sex with this 23-year-old. But I'm seeing people have an issue with that. Um, or I'm a 20-year-old and I'm messing with a 30-year-old. I don't know. At 20, I think it's weird for us not to give them the decision to be able to deal with whoever they want to deal with. At that point, I totally get it for somebody that's a minor. But you able to go to college, I feel like you able to fuck who you want to fuck of any age. It for me, it's there's some agency that's being taken away from that age range, that between 18 and 22-year-old woman. That feels weird to me. It feels like, but don't they have a say on who they want to deal with? Just because you feel like this guy is out of their age range, it feels kind of weird. Is it creepy if I see a 40-year-old trying to date a 20-year-old? Yes, absolutely. I think I'm like, what a girl, why, what? But I'm not gonna take her agency away. Once, yeah, it's a certain age. I'm not. She if she wants to have sex with this man and he's treating her right, I think patriarchy and fetishization of youth slights genuine relationship with such a big age difference. I can see that, but that's still the man's perspective. Does the 20-something-year-old girl get to decide, regardless of that, I get to decide. I want somebody older. Can they not want somebody older because that same patriarchy says that an older man is more mature, that an older man can provide for me things that these young niggas can't do? He's already established, and I want certain things in my life, a certain standard of living. So I intentionally picked an older man because he has some coins for me to exploit. Does that agency not exist in that same patriarchal fetishist system? It's kind of like when we talk about sex workers having the agency. Now, this is not necessarily sex work, but there are sex workers who choose to be in sex work because they like that they are exploiting um sex work. They're exploiting the objectification of men, and they have a full agency over doing it. Is can a 20 something year old woman, can she not actively say, I know how this patriarchal system is working. I can see it. I can see how this is working, but so I'm going to use it to my advantage, and I'm going to date somebody who is older than me, that is more established while I'm in college, so I don't have to struggle as much as if I didn't have him in my corner. Um, can she not have that agency? Mm, I feel that's weird. I think taking away her agency is weird to me. Like I said, it's just something I'm thinking about, and it's rumbling around in my brain. The common trauma of older men imposing their power over younger women leaves people on the edge when they come across similar relationships, even if the younger woman is in control. Totally agree, and that's a lot of projection. Not what you're saying. I totally agree that that is the problem, that is an issue. But sometimes because their situation was about control, or their situation was trauma, that they are projecting some of the stuff that is on there. While to me, because of that projection, it's taken away the younger woman's control. Because I know some very savvy younger women, especially if they were around women that didn't shelter them, like women who were around a bunch of them cool ass aunties, or had a cool ass mom who was real with her and wasn't just on some churchy purity shit. I'm trying to get you out here in this real world and know how these niggas is. When you've been raised around women like that, I know some savvy ass 20 somethings that are very intentional about dating somebody who is 28, 30, who got some coins that they can exploit. I have a little cousin that is exactly like this, that I'm talking about, and she sparks me and her have conversations about this stuff all the time. And she's 21. She's 22. She was born in 2001. What does make her 22, 23? How old is you? If she was born in 2001, that's 20, 21, 22. She's about to be no, she's 22. Yeah, she's about to be 23. Yeah. Yeah. So she's that age. She's the age that I'm talking about. And when I talk to her, I'm like, this bitch got it going on. Like, when I talk to her, I'm like, oh, you really. But she's raised around me. She raised around, like, I've been in her life since she was born. Shit, duh. When she was this is how close. When she was constipated, I done had to dig boo boo out of her butt while I was changing her fucking diaper. That's the type of relationship we have. So, and we talk about stuff, and now that she's a young woman, she grew up around me, my mom, my aunt, and we like down cool. We not no churchy. You gotta be. No, we keep it real. You know, and so because she's raised around that, she has a particular hustle mentality that I don't think is the norm for women her age. Yeah, it's just a I don't know. It just feels I don't know. Like I said, I haven't thought it all the way through, but it feels like the agency of women between that age is being taken away in a certain sense. So yeah, it's quite interesting. But all right, y'all, make sure y'all thumbs up. I know it was like 30 something people listening earlier and we only got 28 people. But yeah, thumbs up if you haven't thumbs up. And I will be back next week because I am gonna do what is that? On Friday. Let's see if I'm not traveling any time soon. Oh. Oh yeah, next week is Transgender Day of Visibility. It falls on a Friday, so I'll be here talking to y'all. Wait, hold on. There is I have multiple events that day. That is a book day. The coins is gonna be rolling in. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Brandon. Oh. Yes, but all right. I will talk to y'all next weekend, and I hope y'all have a blessed weekend. Make sure you check out Marsha's Plate. We just did an episode about Alice Walker, who she just came out as a turf defending J.K. Rowling. We talked about Samson McCormick a little bit. We also talked about Chat GPT, the AI program, ask it a couple of questions, and then ask it what's the best way to make folks orgasm just to see what it would give. And it was a funny conversation. So check it out. The link is in the bottom. And I will see y'all next week. Bye bye. Thumbs up. Very disappointed.